Why your mind may exist in more than one place. Rupert Sheldrake. Picture this: you're sitting in a room, alone, scrolling on your phone, when suddenly you feel it, that eerie sense that someone is watching you. You turn around, and sure enough, someone's gaze meets yours. How did you know? Or consider this: have you ever thought about a friend out of the blue, only to have them call or text you moments later, as if your thoughts somehow reached out and connected to them? Most of us label these experiences as coincidence, intuition, or just tricks of the mind. But what if there's something more? What if your mind is not confined to your brain? What if, in a very real sense, your mind exists in more than one place? Today we're diving into this mind-bending idea, a journey into the work of Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist and philosopher who challenges everything we think we know about consciousness. Sheldrake's controversial theory of morphic resonance suggests that our minds aren't isolated inside our skulls. They extend outward, connecting us to others, to nature, and even to the past. It's a concept that could explain those strange, unexplainable moments we've all experienced, but it also forces us to rethink what it means to be human, to be conscious, and to exist. Now, let's start with the basics. We've been taught that our thoughts, memories, and consciousness are the result of physical processes in the brain. Neurons fire, synapses connect, and voila, your mind emerges. It's a neat, tidy explanation, and science has made incredible progress in understanding the brain's mechanics. But here's the problem: it doesn't fully explain experiences like the ones we just described. How does your brain know someone is watching you when you can't see or hear them? How do you intuitively sense that a loved one is in distress, even when they're thousands of miles away? Sheldrake argues that these experiences suggest something radical: our minds are not localized. Instead of being confined to the brain, consciousness might extend beyond it, like an invisible field radiating outward. Think of it like a Wi-Fi network. Your brain is the router, but the signal spreads far beyond the device itself. This idea isn't just poetic or mystical. Sheldrake believes it's grounded in science, specifically in his concept of morphic fields.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Morphic fields, according to Sheldrake, are invisible structures that organize not only the behavior of living things, but also patterns in nature. These fields act as a kind of memory system, connecting individuals to a larger collective experience. For example, when one person learns a new skill, like solving a Rubik's Cube, it becomes slightly easier for others to learn it too, because the skill has entered a kind of universal memory. The same principle, Sheldrake suggests, might apply to our minds. Your thoughts, feelings, and experiences don't just stay locked inside your skull, they ripple outward, influencing and being influenced by others. But let's pause here. What do you think? Does it feel plausible that your mind isn't limited to your brain? Or does this sound like pseudoscience dressed up in philosophical language? Keep that question in mind, because the deeper we go, the more this idea challenges our assumptions about reality. Consider this: if your mind extends beyond your brain, then the boundaries between you and the world around you become blurred. Think about how you feel when you walk into a room where two people have just been arguing. Even if they stop talking the moment you enter, you can sense the tension in the air, almost as if the argument left an imprint behind. Or think about how being in nature, a forest, a beach, a mountain, can change your state of mind, as if the environment itself is influencing your thoughts and feelings. These experiences suggest that your mind and the world aren't separate, they're intertwined. This idea has profound implications for how we understand ourselves and our relationships. If your mind exists in more than one place, then your thoughts and intentions might have a far greater impact than you realize. What if your anger or kindness doesn't just stay inside you but radiates outward, affecting the people around you in ways you can't see? What if your thoughts are like seeds, planting themselves not just in your own life, but in the collective consciousness of those you interact with? But here's the kicker: if your mind is connected to others, then it's also connected to something bigger, something beyond just human interactions. Sheldrake suggests that morphic resonance could explain phenomena like instincts in animals or the uncanny ability of some people to predict the future. Think about migratory birds that travel thousands of miles to the exact same spot every year, or how dogs seem to know when their owners are coming home, even without any external cues. These behaviors hint at a shared field of knowledge, a kind of collective memory that transcends individual minds. Now, let me ask you, what would it mean for your life if this were true? How would you think about your relationships, your actions, your place in the world, if your mind wasn't limited to your body? And perhaps more importantly, what responsibilities would come with that kind of interconnectedness? If your thoughts and actions ripple outward, touching others in ways you can't see, then what kind of energy are you putting into the world? This is where Sheldrake's ideas push us to reflect not just on the mysteries of consciousness, but on the ethics of how we live. If your mind extends into the world, then your inner life, your thoughts, your emotions matters more than you think. It's not just about what you do outwardly, it's about the energy you carry, the intentions you hold, and the impact they have on the invisible web of connections that bind us all together. So as we continue, we'll dive deeper into how this idea of a mind that exists in more than one place could reshape our understanding of reality. Could it explain phenomena like intuition, synchronicity, or even psychic experiences? And what does it mean for how we live, love, and relate to the world? The invisible threads that bind us all, let's take this journey deeper. If your mind truly extends beyond your brain, then the implications are staggering. It means that the boundaries we've drawn between ourselves and others, between the internal and external, might not be as rigid as we think. Rupert Sheldrake's idea of morphic resonance suggests that we are all part of an invisible web of connection, a shared field where thoughts, feelings, and experiences ripple outward, influencing the collective in ways we can't always perceive. Think about those moments of inexplicable connection. You're sitting quietly, and suddenly you think about an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Moments later, your phone buzzes, and it's a message from that very person. Coincidence? Maybe. But what if it's more? What if your thoughts reached out, like a signal traveling through an unseen network, and resonated with them? Sheldrake's theory invites us to reconsider these moments, not as random occurrences, but as evidence of a deeper connection, a kind of collective consciousness that we're all tapped into, whether we realize it or not. Let's explore this further. Consider the phenomenon of group behavior. How often have you noticed that the energy of a crowd feels contagious? At a concert, a protest, or even a sports game, emotions seem to spread like wildfire. Excitement, anger, or grief can ripple through a group, uniting individuals into a single shared experience. From Sheldrake's perspective, this might not just be social psychology at work, it could be a manifestation of morphic fields in action. The group creates a shared field of energy, and everyone within it is influenced by the collective resonance. But this idea isn't limited to human interactions. It extends to the natural world. Think about the remarkable behavior of flocks of birds or schools of fish. They move as one, turning and shifting in perfect synchrony, as if guided by an invisible force. How do they know when to turn, when to dive? Traditional science struggles to explain this with purely mechanical or instinctual models. Sheldrake's theory offers a different explanation. They are connected through a shared morphic field, a collective mind that guides their movements. And here's where it gets personal. If this collective resonance exists, then you are not as isolated as you might think. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are part of this larger system. They ripple outward, influencing others in ways you can't see. Have you ever walked into a room and felt tension hanging in the air, even though no one was speaking, or felt instantly at ease in the presence of someone calm and centered? These experiences suggest that we're constantly exchanging energy, participating in an invisible dialogue that goes beyond words. So what does this mean for you, practically? It means that your inner life matters more than you might have ever realized. If your thoughts and emotions contribute to a shared field, then cultivating a positive, intentional mindset isn't just about self-improvement, it's an act of service to the collective. When you hold anger or resentment, it doesn't just stay inside you, it ripples outward, subtly influencing the people and environments around you. Likewise, when you cultivate kindness, empathy, and love, you create a resonance that uplifts others, even if you never see the results directly. Now, let's ask a deeper question. If your mind is part of a larger network, what responsibility do you have to that network? This isn't just about being a good person in the moral sense, it's about recognizing that your thoughts and actions are never truly isolated. Every choice you make contributes to the collective energy of the world. So, what kind of energy are you contributing? This isn't a call to perfection. None of us can be positive or centered all the time. But it's an invitation to awareness. If your mind exists in more than one place, then you are always in dialogue with the world around you, even when you're alone. And that dialogue is shaped not just by what you do, but by who you are. As we continue, we'll explore how this interconnectedness could explain some of life's deepest mysteries, from intuition to synchronicity to the possibility of precognition. What if your mind, far from being limited to the present moment, is also connected to the past and future? What if time, as we know it, is just another boundary waiting to be dissolved? The timeless mind, are you connected to the past and future? If your mind isn't confined to your brain, then perhaps it isn't confined to time either. What if your consciousness, extending outward in ways we can't fully comprehend, is also reaching across the boundaries of past, present, and future? Rupert Sheldrake's concept of morphic resonance suggests that memory isn't just something stored individually in your brain, it might be a shared phenomenon, connecting you not only to the minds of others, but also to the experiences of those who came before you. Think about déjà vu. You walk into a place you've never been, yet something about it feels hauntingly familiar. Or consider intuition, the times when you just know something without logical explanation. How do we explain these phenomena? Could it be that your mind is tapping into a larger field of memory, one that isn't limited to your own experiences? Sheldrake argues that morphic fields act as a kind of collective memory. Just as a skill becomes easier for others to learn once it has been mastered by someone, the experiences of the past might leave imprints that you unconsciously access. This could explain why certain traditions, rituals, or ideas seem to persist across generations. They aren't just passed down through words or actions, they resonate in the morphic field, shaping the minds of those who come after. When you feel a deep connection to an ancient culture or a profound sense of familiarity with a historical event, it might not just be imagination. It could be that your consciousness is touching something timeless, something shared. But if your mind can connect to the past, could it also reach into the future? Have you ever had a vivid dream or a sudden gut feeling that seemed to predict what was about to happen? We often dismiss these experiences as coincidence, But what if they're glimpses of the mind's ability to transcend time? If morphic fields connect us all, then perhaps they also connect moments in time, creating a flow of information that we occasionally tap into without realizing it. This raises profound questions. If your mind is part of this timeless field, what role might you play in shaping it? Are your actions and thoughts today creating imprints that future generations will feel? What legacy are you leaving not just physically, but energetically? As we continue, we'll confront the ultimate question: if your mind exists beyond space and time, who or what are you really? The boundless self, who are you beyond space and time? If your mind is not limited to your brain, body, or even the present moment, then who or what are you? This question takes us to the heart of Rupert Sheldrake's provocative ideas and beyond, forcing us to confront the nature of consciousness itself. Most of us walk through life with a clear sense of identity. I am my thoughts, my memories, my body. But what if this identity is only a small part of who you are, a fragment of something far greater, more connected, and more expansive? Sheldrake's notion of morphic resonance hints at a startling possibility. Your mind is not an isolated island, but part of an endless ocean of consciousness, flowing between individuals, nature, and even across time. If this is true, then the boundaries you perceive between self and other, between now and then, might be illusions. You are not as separate as you think. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever had an experience where you felt utterly connected to something bigger than yourself? Perhaps it was standing beneath a star-filled sky, feeling the vastness of the universe. Or maybe it was in a moment of deep empathy, when another person's joy or pain felt as real to you as your own. These moments of transcendence aren't just poetic, they might be glimpses of your true nature, moments when the illusion of separateness falls away, and you experience the boundless self. If your mind exists beyond your brain, then it's not just yours in the sense we usually think. It's part of a shared field, a collective consciousness that links you to every other being. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a radical rethinking of identity. You are not a single, isolated entity. You are a node in a vast, interconnected network of minds, memories, and possibilities. This understanding carries profound implications for how we live. If you are connected to others in ways you can't see, then every thought, action, and intention matters. When you act out of love, kindness, or generosity, you're not just improving your own life, you're uplifting the entire field. Conversely, when you act out of fear, anger, or selfishness, you contribute to a ripple of negativity that affects the collective. So, who are you? At one level, you are the person you see in the mirror, the sum of your experiences, memories, and choices. But at another level, you are something far greater. You are part of a universal tapestry, woven together by the invisible threads of consciousness. And this means that your life is about more than survival, success, or even personal happiness. It's about how you contribute to the whole. But this raises an even deeper question. If your mind isn't confined to your body or the present, then what happens when you die? Does your consciousness dissolve, or does it continue to resonate in the field, influencing the living in ways we can't yet understand? Sheldrake's ideas don't provide definitive answers, but they invite us to explore the possibility that death isn't an end, it's a transition, a shift in where and how your consciousness exists. And so, we return to the question that has guided this entire journey. If your mind may exist in more than one place, what does that mean for how you live? What does it mean for how you treat others, how you relate to the world, and how you understand yourself? These aren't just intellectual exercises, they're invitations to live with greater awareness, responsibility, and awe. You are not just a mind in a body, moving through time. You are a part of something infinite, a consciousness that connects and transcends. If you truly embrace this, how might it change the way you live? What kind of legacy, energetic, emotional, and spiritual, will you leave behind in the vast, boundless field of existence? The truth is, we may never fully understand the nature of consciousness or the mind's true reach. But one thing is certain: the boundaries we perceive between self and other, mind and world, life and death, are not as solid as they seem. And in recognizing this, we might find not just answers, but freedom. So, I leave you with this question: if your mind isn't bound by the limits you once thought, what will you do with that freedom?